Y'all, we're finally making those viral carnivore mashed potatoes. Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the almost weekly web series where we find and test the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're finally doing it. We're testing that viral carnivore mashed potato recipe. Stay tuned. Trick everybody in the whole house into thinking you're eating mashed potatoes. We're gonna find out. All right. I don't know why. I don't know what sorcery or magic calls that. Shut up. All right, guys, by now you know that the majority of content on my channel for the past 6 or 7 years has been low carb recipe battles, where we take a couple of recipes in any given category, make both of them, pit them against one another, and tell you what we think about them. But every so often comes a recipe so viral, so recommended, so interesting or odd that it requires its own video. And today we're finally doing it. We're tackling the carnivore mashed potatoes by the YouTube channel Chris Cooking Nashville. So I want you to go to his channel below after this video, Chris Cooking Nashville. He's right here on YouTube. This thing has blown up and everybody who has tasted it has gone hog wild over it. And even his mama, who's in the video with him, it got her approval, and they talk just like I do, so I know they're from the South and know a good mashed potato. So this is very interesting, and I'm curious to see if it's as good as everybody says it is. Now, before we begin, I need to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, Factor. Factor is an online meal delivery service that makes meeting your nutritional goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen meals directly to your door that are dietitian approved and chef created. Now, I've got to be honest, Factor has reached out in the past to sponsor some videos, but I never really bit on that because looking at the packaging and seeing other people's ads, for some reason I thought these were frozen meals. They are not. And I think we all are familiar over the past decades of going to the freezer section at your grocery store and picking out pre-made frozen meals, and they're just mushy and salty and full of cheap filler ingredients, and they're just as bad today as they were 30 years ago when I thought I was doing the right thing by getting frozen meals. These are not frozen. This is fresh, delicious meals that live in your refrigerator. They don't go in the freezer, and they are quality ingredients like truffle butter, broccolini, leeks, Parmesan, real Parmesan cheese. Now, you know that I've in the past have been sponsored by Green Chef. Well, Green Chef and Factor are both owned by HelloFresh. So while I still do my Green Chef boxes, it's nice to include Factor in that as well, because some days, like right now, it's the heat of summer. It doesn't get dark until 8:30 or 9. Everybody's out riding bikes, doing fun stuff, and the last thing I really want to do is come in and chop a bunch of stuff and make a meal. And this makes putting a delicious meal in my belly very, very easy and very fast. And it does not taste like a frozen meal. So right now, if you want to find out more about these delicious and easy meals that are fantastic when you're on the run or on the go or working from home, you can go visit factor75.com or use the link in the video description below and enter code Highfalutin50 and you will get 50% off your first Factor box. Again, that's factor75.com. Use the link below and use code Highfalutin50 and you'll get 50% off of your first Factor box. So Factor, thank you for sponsoring this video. It's sponsorships like yours that keep channels like mine on the air, and for that I am truly appreciative. And I need to apologize that this entire time for the last several years I have thought your product was frozen, and it is not. It is so fresh and so delicious. So guys, go check it out. All right, let's go make these mashed potatoes. Come on. All right, guys, so let's get started on this viral recipe for mashed potatoes. Again, this is by Chris Cooking Nashville. He's one of the new creators in the keto, carnivore, low carb space, carnivore mostly, and he is taking the world by storm. And if this is as good as it says, I see why. Shouldn't take long to do this. What we're going to do is start out with eggs, and that's the secret ingredient. This is made with egg whites. So I'm going to put my skillet over medium-low heat. We don't want to burn them. We're going to start with some butter first, though. This needs to melt in the pan. And then once this is melted, we're going to add in a lot of egg whites, like a whole bunch. So it says 25 to 30 egg whites, or you can just use a 32-ounce carton of egg whites. It can't be an egg substitute. It does need to be egg whites. And you also don't want to burn them. So this is a whole stick of butter. Okay, this is going to continue to melt in there. So now we're just going to pour our egg whites right in the skillet, and then we're going to scramble these, breaking them up as we go. And these need to, you want small pieces, and this is going to take a while apparently. Oh Lord, that's a lot of egg whites. You want to cook these until there's no moisture left and they're just little small granules of, little small tidbits of egg whites that are white, and you have some of the butter fat left. So I'm going to do that now on a speed up. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I'll let you know as soon as I come back how long that was. And I'll meet you back here in just a few minutes. Oh, I also meant to mention I'm going to add to my egg whites. This is a little bit of salt and a little bit of garlic powder. The garlic powder really apparently helps take some of the eggy taste away, and that needs to go in with the egg whites while we're cooking them. So. All right, guys, so we're back. That took me almost exactly 30 minutes. There is a little bit of moisture left in the pan, but as you can see, most of that is butter fat. So this would have gone a little quicker if I had used a wider nonstick skillet, because you have some space for the, for the moisture to drive the moisture off, more surface area. But this is great. So this is hot, and we need it to stay hot. And now we're going to work on the other ingredients in our blender. Okay. So the blender portion, everything's going to go in here, and this is where the magic happens. To this, we're going to add fresh mozzarella cheese. And if you want to know how much, go to Chris Cooking Nashville on YouTube. He has a full written description, full written recipe in the description. But this is fresh mozzarella, and if you're used to fathead dough, you know you usually use the shredded. You can't use fresh because it's too much moisture. This is the opposite. It has to be fresh, and it cannot be the bagged pre-shredded. To this, we're going to add a little bit of cream cheese and sour cream. It's just a small amount of each, but these are the magic ingredients that make this supposedly trick everybody in the whole house into thinking you're eating mashed potatoes. We're going to find out. All right. Also need 2 teaspoons. How many? No, just 1 teaspoon of Parmesan cheese. And yes, I know this is pre-grated, and I know it has sawdust or whatever, cellulose in it. I'm trying to follow the directions just as he did. This is what he used, so that's what I'm going to use. Also, this is a teaspoon measure, and people have tried to call me out and say, that's too large. You need a tablespoon. That's my tablespoon. So yes, this is a teaspoon measure. And now we're going to add in, these are the 2 ingredients that are special. This is beef gelatin, not pectin and not collagen. This is beef gelatin, plain, right out of the container. And next is what makes this all possible, apparently. This is toasted beef gelatin. This is just that beef gelatin that I just showed you, put in a very dry skillet. And it took me about 15 minutes to get it to this consistency. It smells not great. He says it's going to stink, but this is what gives all of this wonderful meaty potato flavor. He uses it for a lot of different things, I think, and just makes it ahead of time. So we need 2 teaspoons of this in here. It was fairly easy to do. He even said, he uses grass-fed beef gelatin. He even said you could use just gelatin, unflavored gelatin from the grocery store that I believe is pork gelatin. So if you don't have access to or don't want to spend the money on that, you apparently can just use regular gelatin. Now we're going to add our eggs into this, and I'm going to try to do this without spilling it on me and you. There went one already. Okay, so now let's try the magic here. He uses a Vitamix, but I saw the Keto Twins did this as well, and they used a regular Ninja just like this, so hopefully this will work. We're going to blend this down. If we need, we can add a couple, 1 to 2 tablespoons at a time of heavy whipping cream, but he advises just to try to avoid using it. You want this to stay as dry as possible. Let the other ingredients be the filler, but you may need to add a wee little bit of liquid. So, all right, here we go. All right, so we're there where we're almost smooth, and this is where he adds a couple of tablespoons of egg white protein powder. And I've noticed in his video, he doesn't really measure. He just kind of eyeballs it and says about, you know, so I'm using the written recipe exactly as he lists it. He also mentions that if you're going to recook this, like in a shepherd's pie or part of a casserole top, skip this step. This egg white powder sets the eggs. You don't want to do that if you're going to cook it over. I'm going to run this for 20 seconds. All right, we are done. The question is now, what does this taste like? Is this as good as everybody claims it is? Now this is where you would pour this out in a serving bowl and get it out of your blender. I would call the texture, it feels like a potato, y'all. It feels like potatoes. The texture is like, I would probably say whipped potatoes instead of mashed potatoes, but I mean, you're really just, that's just semantics. The texture is unbelievable. And really your macros are going to be, you know, just the eggs and whatever sugar you use, just your eggs and whatever dairy you used. I'm going to put some a little bit for me here for me to taste. And of course you're going to add, you know, this is going to go great with like the Mississippi pot roast, hopefully from my cookbook, or anything with gravy, or just a dab of butter on top, which is probably what I'm going to do for that thumb. Y'all look at that. I hope it doesn't come across looking like ice cream because it looks like mashed potatoes. I cannot really smell the eggs. The whole house kind of smells like eggs from that earlier. And I expected this to have a strong odor, but it doesn't. So down the hatch, what does it feel like? Wow. It's consistency of whipped potatoes. Wow. That is the weirdest concoction that makes the most wonderful. Y'all, these taste like mashed potatoes. There is a little bit of an egg flavor, I'm not going to lie, and apparently the drier you can get your egg whites, the less that... Shut up. Y'all, that was easy. That's mashed potatoes. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know what sorcery or magic caused that. Chris, Cooking Nashville. Bubba, I don't know where you got this from, but I need to hug your neck. This is fantastic. Guys, please go to Chris Cooking Nashville on YouTube. I'll link his video right now. Be sure to go check that out. If you want to also check out my, I had a mashed potato battle many years ago, mashed potato battle that's full of cauliflower and some other things that are, while I enjoy cauliflower mash, I really do. It is its own thing. It has a whang and a tang to it that a lot of people who don't like cauliflower detect instantly. Wow. I'm shocked at how good that is. So there you go, folks. Carnivore mashed potatoes. Can it be done? Yes, yes. This is going to be a regular staple. This is going to be a regular staple in my house. I cannot believe that. And I think you could serve it to somebody who's never tasted it and you didn't tell them it wasn't mashed potatoes. That tastes like a potato. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. As I say every time, these videos are a way for me to maintain my low carb way of eating, and looking in the end of that camera as often as I can helps keep me honest. So I appreciate that you guys have come along for the journey. If you don't already follow me on Instagram and Facebook, please check me out over there. I talk a little more frequently, a little more freely there. It's just Highfalutin Low Carb on both of those platforms. And I also want to ask you to please hit the like button below. If you hit the like button, it lets the YouTube algorithm gods know that this is a video that other people might like, and it'll share it with those. If you are a subscriber, be sure you've hit the bell button. If you aren't a subscriber, be sure you hit the subscribe and the bell button. just to know just as soon as I release a new video. I also need to thank my sponsor Factor again for sponsoring this video. I say it all the time, sponsorships aren't why I do this, they're how I do this. So guys, be sure to go to factor75.com or use the link in the video description below and enter code Highfalutin50 and you will get 50% off your first box of Factor. I'm enjoying it and loving it and will definitely continue. So thank you so much, Factor. And lastly, I need to thank my rock stars, my Patreon members. You're probably already seeing their names scroll here. If you don't know what Patreon is, think of it as the tip jar for the internet. It lets people like you who enjoy what people like me do here on YouTube give $1 or $2 a month just to sort of keep the train on the tracks, as it were. So thank you to those guys. Without them, none of this would be possible. They are my true rock stars. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. And remember, today is a good day to have a good day.